we are going to learn a lot of things that are going to change the way you look at presentations. Because I know when you talk about presentation, people look at them only in a certain way. You know, people think that it's basically a tool to dump data, but we are going to change that mindset today because it's a tool to tell you a story in a visual manner. So, without any further delay, I'll get into the session right away because we have a lot to cover and the time is very limited. So, let's get to it. So, before I talk about anything or even about myself, I want to ask, why is presentation designing so important? Why are we sitting here on a Friday evening learning this skill called PowerPoint? Well, we all have seen such slides, right? So either we have been a victim of such slides, which means we have, seen other people presenting these slides, or maybe we have been culprit ourselves. I mean, I am guilty of creating such slides way back in past, but I have. But does it mean that we don't know what we are presenting? Does it mean that our content is not right? Absolutely not. Sometimes the problem does not lie with the content, but it lies with your PowerPoint. And that is the problem we will try and fix today with this workshop. So, hi, my name is Shruti, and I think enough said about me by Ritu. So, I'm not going to spend time on that, and we will just dive into the actual workshop. Now, we all have seen such slides, right? We see it on Pinterest, we see it on Google, on a lot of other websites. And if you look at these slides, look great, but we don't make such slides. Our reasons are different. Sometimes we feel that, okay, our content is very different. This is such a nice, neat content. We have so much content. Sometimes we feel, okay, how do we get such ideas? Like, where do we get such inspiration from? And sometimes we don't know the right tool and techniques to create such slides, right? So reasons are different, but we don't end up making such slides. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples before we dive into the tools, just to show you how you can transform your presentation and slides. So if you look at this slide, it's a very basic regular slide with one header and 5 pointers. With just basic changes, you can make it look like this. Just adding an image, using a bit of gradient, using a bit of color. Now this one I'm sure looks more familiar because this has more content. It has some space for infographic also. But it could look something like this as well. Also, I want you to notice this small thing which I'm going to cover, in depth later on, which is I have an image here, but to make sure that the image does not overpower the slide, I have put a transparency layer on top of it. So image to break the monotony of content, but a transparency layer on top to basically make sure that our content is still the hero and not the image. Now, this one, for example, has too much of data, right? And if I tell you all to create this slide, I think first thing that you all are going to do is create this plus and four boxes and then figure out how to put content into that. So can we do that differently? Like, can we plan these four buckets differently? Maybe something like this. So we still have those four areas, but planned in a completely new fashion. Now, this slide, for example, if you look at this one, it by the first look, if you don't read the content, it looks like a bullet, like a header and 6 bullet point. But if you look at this, you can understand that it's a process slide, which means one thing leads to another, second thing leads to third, so on and so forth, right? And that is just by the treatment of the slide. So these kind of slides are called infographic slides, all right? Now let's look at just last example. This one again, if you see, you can't figure out anything in the first go. But if you look at this, it's a cycle infographic, which means first thing is leading to second, second is leading to third, and third is connecting back with the first. So that's called a cycle infographic. So we are going to, look at a new way to think about presentation, because it's very important to first delete that mental gap that we have when we talk about presentation. So the reason why I am emphasizing so much on the visual aspect is because there's a recent study which says that people remember only 10% of what they hear, 20% of what they read, but 80% of what they see and do. And that's huge. So if you want to leave an impact, if you want people to have a higher recall value of what you presented or what you showed them, you have to play on the visual. That is extremely important. So I'm going to begin this with few time saving hacks. Okay. So I know that when it comes to PPTs, we are always running short on time, right? Because they're always last minute. We have so many things to do. So we're always struggling with time. So these 5 hacks are going to help you make your presentation process a little faster and efficient. Okay. So let's begin with the first one, which is Format Painter. So now, as the name suggests, what is Format Painter? I'm sure a lot of you would already know Format Painter, but I'm not here to tell you that. I'm going to tell you something else. All right. Give me a second. Yeah. Okay. So Format Painter, for those who don't know, it's a tool basically that will help you copy properties of one object onto another one. How? Let me show you. So let's say if we look at the first text, you can see that I have done some work here. Like the color is different, it's different font, it's thicker, there's an outline, there's a shadow. If I want to, let's say, do the same effect on all, what do? You generally go to home. There's this tab called Format Painter. You click on it and you click where you want to copy the effect. And that's how it happens. But what if I want to do it on all these and let's say on multiple pages? Because then I'll have to keep going on Format Painter and that could be pretty tedious. So what you could do instead, just click on this. Instead of clicking once here, double click on this. And now if you see, you can look at this. You can keep clicking and this impact will be copied, look, on multiple slides, not just one. So you can keep changing that. So that's the power of Format Painter. Okay. So I'll just repeat it once again. So Format Painter works on text, on pictures, on shapes as well. Now, for example, this is my shape. Okay. Now, if you see again, I have made the shape black. The outline is a sketchy gradient, thick outline with a yellow glow. Now, if I want the same effect on all three, I can just go to Format Painter, double click. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you can do it as many times as you want. Look at this. So that's how easy it makes your life. All right. So that's the first tool. It's super, I mean, trust me, it's very useful. Once you start using it, you will get hang of it and then you won't leave this tool. Let's come to the second one, which is called Smart Copy, Control V. So we all have learned about Control C, Control V, right? I mean, that's the first thing we all must have learned when we started computers. But here today we are going to talk about Control D. Now, what is that? Let me show you. So let's say I have to make multiple copies of this text. Okay, so I'm pressing Control V. So it has made a copy. Now I'm going to decide that, okay, this is the distance I want between two sentences. Now all I have to do is press Control D, Control D, Control D. Look at this. So what has happened, not only it has made a copy, the alignment and the distancing between each sentence is absolutely bang on. And that is what Control D does. So when you want something to be copied at an equal distance and alignment, you use Control D. I'll show it to you once again. So let's say this is the circle that you want to copy. So click on it, press Control D and decide the location and the distance, and then let this be selected. Don't click outside, otherwise it won't work because it needs to calculate distance from the object that's selected. So now Control D, Control D, Control D. Look at this. Absolutely perfect alignment and distance. So that is what Control D is. Coming to the third tool, which is lock drawing mode. So this is another fantastic tool, just like Format Painter. So, we all create such charts, flow charts, organization chart, hierarchy chart. So creating the shape is the easy part. When you have to create and, use the connectors, this is pretty tedious because every time you have to go here, every time you have to go to shape, every time you have to choose another connector. What if I tell you that you can also lock this mode just the way you did with Format Painter? So if you go to Insert, Shapes, Connectors, instead of clicking, right click and do lock drawing mode. And now you will see that, look at this, it's automatically now connecting. And it will keep happening till the time you don't press escape or click outside. You can create as many connectors as you want. Look at this. So that is the magic of lock drawing mode. Look at this. So let me just show it to you once again. Go to Insert, click on Shapes. So choose the connector that you want. Instead of clicking on the connector, right click and do lock drawing mode. So that basically locks the mode like this. And that means that you can keep connecting it as many times as you want. All right. So that's the lock drawing mode. Now coming on this is one of my favorite hacks, and I'm sure all of you are going to love it, which is ungroup icons. Now we all love using PowerPoint icons, especially, especially on infographic slides. So for example, these are two icons that I've taken from the PowerPoint. So you have insert and icons. You will see multiple icons here from where you can pick up any of the icons that you'd want. Look at this, right? So I picked up these two. But generally, let's say that I'm creating a slide, which is a 3-step process. And in that 3-step process, I want all three steps to be having different color and to be animated differently. But it can't happen in icons, because if I color, so the whole icon gets the same color. But what if I tell you, you can actually break the icon? So if you right click on the icon and click on convert to shape, now all these are separate shapes. So I can do step 1, step 2, and step 3. And now I can also animate them separately. Like my first animation could be this, and then I can choose my second animation, so on and so forth. It's as simple. Let me give you another quick example. So this is my icon. Right click, convert to shape. Look at this. So some icons are grouped differently. Let me show you that also. So if this is your icon, if you do right click and convert to shape and it still doesn't break, right click again. Sorry, 1 second. Right click again and you will see group icon. So just ungroup it. And again, you will have 3 different shapes and you can have 3 different colors, animations. You can also copy and, make the team bigger. Like let's say you want to increase the team. You can also take these and maybe add one more and have a different color here. So all that is now completely customizable. All right. Now last but not the least, which is how to insert video without downloading it. These days we try to make our presentation very interactive and interesting, right? So adding audios and videos is something that we do a lot more often now. So how you can install videos without downloading, because otherwise inserting video by downloading is a tedious process, because you have to first find an unsafe website to download, then the downloading takes time. All that is not required. What you can do simply is just click on it, insert, click on video. Instead of clicking this device, choose online videos. So you will have this new window appear where you can put any link of YouTube, SlideShare, Vimeo. So I am going to take, let's say, this one. I'm going to take this video from my own page and I'm going to click, choose the URL and put it here. You can see my video here. I can just click on insert and my video is inserted. Right now it may look blurred to you. Sorry, 1 second. But if I play it will play in like a proper crystal clear, right? So that's how you can insert a video without downloading. The only thing is that you need to remember to have active internet connection for the video to be played. It cannot play without internet. Okay, let me show it to you once again. Just quickly showing you, go to insert, click on video, online videos, put the URL and insert. It's as simple as that. And your videos will play. All right. So that's how you can insert videos. Now we are going to come to another very, very important tool that we have, which is alignment and formatting. This is one tool that you'll be using very, very, very often, because it is a tool that is helpful not just for fancy PPTs, but even for your basic simple presentation. One thing that you should always take care of is alignment and formatting. Now, what is that? If you look at this slide, there are multiple boxes, there are icons between each. So if you see, all the boxes are neatly, properly aligned, right? They're in one line. And the distance between each box is same. The icon is right in the center. So manually, obviously doing it is a task and you can't be 100% correct. So how you can do it using the tools here? Let me show you. So these are the boxes that I have to align, let's say. And there are 2 ways to align, at least the shape. So either you can align them like horizontally or vertically. So in this case, clearly I have to align them horizontally. So you have to decide the beginning and the end point. So let's say I want to begin my boxes from here and I want to end them here. Okay. Now, let me just do it a little here. Yeah, this is perfect. Now I'm going to select them all. Go to shape format, go to align. So first I want them to be aligned in one line. So if you go to align, you will see multiple alignments. Align left means they all will be aligned left, which you don't want. Align center, which again you don't want. So I'm going to do align middle, which means now they're all in one line. And then I'm going to do align distribute horizontally. Look at this. So now my boxes are perfectly aligned. Now let's say that you also have to align the icons with the boxes. If you use the same technique, would it work? Let's find out. Align middle. Yeah, it worked. Now the second one, distribute horizontally. It didn't, right? So why is this not working? Because PowerPoint will treat all the shapes as individual shapes. So first we will have to align the icons between the shapes and group them. So I'm choosing first one, shape and the icon both. Align center, align middle. And now I'm grouping them. So I'm using this shortcut called Control G to group. You can also right click and group. Selecting both. Again, align center, align middle, Control G to group. So just to tell you, Control G is to group the icon and Control Shift G is to ungroup. Okay. So align center, align middle, Control G. 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 And the last one, align center, align middle, and Control G. Now it's done. Now we'll do the same trick. We will decide the most left and right positions. These are the positions. Select them all. Align middle, align distribute horizontally. So see, you've got the perfect alignment. So this works every time, like no matter what the slide is. Like let's say this is my index slide, so you can do the same thing here. Decide the most top and bottom position. Select them all. Shape format, align left, align distribute vertically. And look at this. And just the same way, now you can align them with this also. Choose them all. The first line, align top. So one alignment is done. But let me just do align middle. Align top, align middle. Look at this. Now I'm going to do the same thing here. Select them all. Align, distribute vertically, align left. The two jobs are done. Now for these all, I'm going to select them all. Align right, align distribute vertically. Align center. So it's as simple. You just have to select, choose the most left and the right position and just align them. It's as simple as that. So even very hectic slides like this would look nice if you have the formatting and alignment sorted. All right. Now coming to the next tool, which is eyedropper. This is one of the most easiest and life-saving tool that at least I use in every presentation multiple times. Now let me show you what this tool is. Okay. So there are times when you have to make a presentation for a client and you have to use their logo, right? Their brand logo. Let's say you're making a presentation for Android and you need to use the exact green, or Twitter, for example. Now what we generally do, we go to shape fill and we choose this color. Whatever we feel is closest to the brand, but if you take the closer view, you will see that there is a difference, which you don't want. So to get the exact same color, just click on shape fill, go to eyedropper and choose the color. Look at this. So same, like let's say you want Android green, eyedropper, Android green. So go to shape fill, let's say you want Facebook blue. And not just for brands. Let's say that you have seen any particular color scheme online that you really liked in a presentation and you want to use the same one. So you can do that. Or even if you work for a brand, they always have guidelines like this. So this is basically a screenshot of a guideline. So rather than going to RGBs and CMYK, you can just take the color using eyedropper like this and like this and like this. It's as simple, right? Now, as I said, it's actually very versatile tool. So how does it work? Let me show you. So, that time when you download images like this, but they're not full screen and you can't stretch them and make them full screen because then you also need space to write and they become too big. But remember, this is only applicable for single color, solid color, plain picture. Okay, not for textures and gradients. So this is single color. So what I can do is I can go to format background. And in here also, when I click on color, you will see option of eyedropper. So I can pick the color and do this. So now I can move it also and this becomes the canvas. So I can reduce the size and I can place my text over here. Another example, right click, eyedropper. Look at this. Another way of using the same tool, sometimes we are wondering, okay, what should be the font color on top of a picture? So you can click on the font and in here also you will see eyedropper. So you can pick the color from the tool itself. Look at this. From the picture itself. Like, let's say I want to take this color. So easy, right? So again, once you start using it, this becomes one of the most used tool ever. Okay. Now we are going to go to the next part of the same color section, which is transparency. So we all have seen such slides. I think they look pretty cool, right? Look at this or this or this. So how you can create such simple slides or this. In transparency, something which I showed you earlier also is very important to learn because even for your data slides, sometimes you really need picture on the data slide to break the monotony of the content, but you don't want the picture to take away from the slide. So I'm going to put a picture over here just to show you how we use this. Let's take a interesting picture. Let's take this. Okay. So there are two ways to use transparency. One is if you want a full picture transparency, which means you want a full layer. So I'm keeping one full shape on top of the image like this. And now choose the color. For this, I'm choosing, let's say, this deep blue color, dark blue color. So I know there are a couple of questions in the chat box, but we'll be taking all the questions at the end of the session. So I'll be addressing all the questions that you're putting the end of it, so that at least we're able to finish the tools that we have aligned for right now. Okay. So don't worry, we'll take all the questions in the end. Okay, so now I've taken the color. You will see a transparency bar here. So if you move this bar, you will see that the transparency is changing. You can also put a percentage. Let's say I want 25% of transparency. So I can just do this. Look at this. So now if I put my content, it will be much more visible compared to putting it on top of a picture. Another way is that you can also put transparency on a particular shape rather than you doing a complete transparency. So for example, I want transparency only in this, sorry, second, only in this part. Okay. So I can give it a color. Let's say I'm giving it a black color and then deciding the transparency. I want it very minimal. Let's say this is just my breaker slide. So I put my transparency here and put the content on top of it. Let's take another example. So I've taken this as a reference, which I want to recreate. This is my slide. And of course, you can see that my content is not visible. So transparency is a great tool to make your text more readable on top of a picture. So that is something that you should definitely use. So bring to front. Now I'm going to use the color using eyedropper from the picture itself. And I'm going to use transparency. Look at this. And that's it. So it looks pretty cool because you can see the picture also a bit in the background rather than just having like a patch. Another example, let's say that you want to create this sort of impact, which is a full picture transparency. So what you can do here is, I have taken a similar sort of an image and a quotation here. We will take the shape. Decide the color. I'm keeping it black. Now you can decide the transparency. I only want like a little bit of an image to be visible because I want people to focus more on my text. So look at this. So you have that image in the background, but your text is still standing out. Versus if you place the text on the picture, it generally, the readability gets affected and, it doesn't look as nice. So I think transparency is really something that you can use in your title slides, in your breaker slide, even in your data slide. Like this one, for example, this is a data slide, but transparency can actually bring out a different side of your slide. So you should definitely try this one. Okay. Now we are going to move to a different part of our presentation. Now, this tool is something that I would want you to remember. I'll do 2, 3 demos because I want you to remember this tool very, very clearly, because this is the tool that will help you create thousands and thousands of layout that you see online. Okay. It's a very simple tool. There are 2 tools actually that we're going to learn, but they're going to change the way you make presentations. Okay. So, we all have seen slides like this or this, or maybe this. But how do you create this same effect? How do you do that? Let me show you. So in what is exactly happening in these slides is the picture is inserted into a particular shape, right? So the basic, I'm not showing you the basic one, which is, putting the shape and right clicking and saying insert picture, because in that case, a lot of times the picture gets distorted. Rather than that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you 2 different tricks. Okay. So the first trick is crop to shape, which is very simple. Double click. So let me just copy it on a new slide. Let me show you. So this is my picture. Double click on the image, go to crop. There's something called crop to shape. The moment you click on it, the entire shape menu opens. Now you can decide which picture you want, which shape you want to choose. Let's say I want to choose this shape. So it is done. Let's try here. But let's say that you want to use something which has equal number of sides, equal size of the side, which means like a circular or a square shape. But do you see it's not exactly circle, it's more like an oval. So for such shapes, you have to go again here, go to aspect ratio and choose 1:1, which means this shape has equal size of the sides. The aspect ratio is 1:1. So let me show you once again. Let's say that you want to do it in a this teardrop shape. But again, you can see it's a little distorted. So again, aspect ratio 1:1. Perfect. Crop to shape. Let's choose this shape. This is perfect. Crop to shape. Look at this. You have so many options here. Look at this. Like you just need to click crop to shape, choose the shape. And if you feel the shape feels distorted, like if I choose this and if I feel this doesn't look nice, you can make it like this also. But I think this one is better. But let's say that you want like a diamond shape or kite shape, which again has equal number of sides, like this one, like this. And here it does not look like diamond, so I'm going to do 1:1 aspect ratio. Now, what is the thing about this? 1 second. What is another thing that is really good about this tool is you can just right click and change the image. Like let's say you're using this pattern in a lot of slides, this shape. So you don't have to do the exercise again of inserting. You can just right click, change picture, and choose the picture from here. Let's say this is my image, or this is my image, or this is my image. So you don't have to do this exercise again. Let me just change this also. 1 second. So it's as easy as that, right? Now, okay, I know that I said that I'll be answering question later, but just one quick thing. I'm using Office 365, but this feature is there even in 2019. So you don't have to worry about the version. Okay, this has been there since 2016 actually. Now coming to the next tool. So it's the same impact, but in that case, you don't have to do the aspect ratio. Let me show you. The end result is same though, but just for you to understand how these two tools work. Okay. Now, this is my picture. Now decide the shape. Let's say I want to put this shape. So put the shape. Shape fill, I'm making 0 so that I can see what part of the picture I want. So decide exactly what part of the picture you want. Like this is the part that I want. And now select the picture, press Control, select the shape. This is very important. And I think this tool came later on. So 2019 version probably won't have this, but let me just show you once. Select the tool. Second. Select the picture, press Control, select the shape, go to shape format, merge shapes, and intersect. Let me show you once again. I'll show you 6 times because I know this one takes a little time. So this is your image. Decide your shape. Okay, let me take the reason why you would use intersect is only for shapes where the aspect ratio is a problem. Like for example, a circle shape. Now in here, once you decide and do the insertion, then you don't have to do the aspect ratio change. So click on the image, press Control, click on the shape, shape format, merge shapes, and intersect. This is your image. Let's say you want to insert a basic diamond shape. Select the picture, press Control, select the shape, shape format, and intersect. Insert shapes. Let's say I want to use this one, the teardrop shape. Select the picture, press Control, select the shape. Once both the elements selected, and always remember to select the picture first. If you select the shape first, it won't happen. Okay. Shape format, merge shapes, and intersect. So like that, you can do it with any shape that you want. Look at this. And the thing with this tool is also that you can just right click and change the image. You don't have to do the exercise again, just like the previous one. So I've selected it. I can just select this and done. I can just go here, right click, change picture, and it's done. It's very simple, right? Sorry. Okay. So now I'm going to go to the next tool. Now I know that we speak a lot about AI driven tools, right? So there are two things to AI. One is there are few tools which are in PowerPoint, which are AI driven. And the next one is basically when you use external tools which help you in PowerPoint. So today, because the time is very limited, I'm going to cover two AI driven tools in PowerPoint, and maybe we'll hold another session at some point later where we'll specifically the whole session could be about AI because it's actually quite an elaborate topic. Okay, now coming to this tool. This one is an amazing tool and you all are going to love it. I can promise you that. So it's called Summary Zoom. It's very simple and very nice tool. It's a great tool for your summary slides, your recap slide, your overview slide, or wherever you want to focus on few things. Okay, now how does it work? I'm going to go to a new slide, click on Insert, click on Zoom. There's something called Summary Zoom. Okay, so let me show it to you once again. Go to Insert, go to Zoom, go to Summary Zoom. Now this will show you entire presentation here, okay? And in my case, it's showing 6 slide or 5 slides selected because I selected them for showing this, but you can start it from the beginning. Let me actually do that also. 1 second. Okay, now it has 3 slides that are selected. I'm going to select 3 more. Slide 1, right. Okay, slide 5, and then one more maybe, slide 6. Okay, now insert. So it has opened a new slide, right? Look at this. Let me get rid of the background. Make this a little bigger maybe. Okay. And let's write summary slide. Look at this. So now look at the magic part. So till here, I'm sure everybody found this very easy. Now let's say that I'm ending my presentation and I'm going to show a recap of the key highlight slides, right? The key things that you want people to remember. So you can just click on this and go to that slide from here. So I'm clicking basically on the slide I want to go to, and to come back, I'm pressing the left side arrow key. So it gets me back to that same slide. Look at this. I'm going to click on. So right now I'm clicking on the second, a new way to think about presentation slide. So it takes me there. To come back, I'm pressing the left side arrow key. And you don't need to go in any order. Like I can click on the last slide and go to that slide also and come back. And I can go to now, let's say the fourth slide and come back. So this is something which is completely up to you how you want to do it. But it's super interactive and very, very interesting tool. Uh, so it's actually pretty good. Let's do it once again. Insert, zoom, summary zoom. So I'm just right now selecting like more slides just to show you. I mean, obviously, generally when you do it, you will have limited number of slides. You won't have insane number of slides, but just to give you an idea. Okay, I've got 17 right now. Let's take till 20. 19, 20. Okay. It always puts it on a new slide. But I would never suggest having so many slides unless you have a purpose, like, unless you have something in mind, because recap should only be a couple of slides. Look at this. Now look at this. To go to a particular slide, I'm clicking on that. And to come back to my screen, I'm pressing the left side arrow key. To go to the slide, I'm clicking. And to come back, I'm pressing the left side arrow key. Clicking and then left side arrow key. It's extremely simple. Right? So I hope all of us are clear on this part, because I'm going to now take you to the next one. So this second tool that I'm showing you, which is again AI driven tool in PowerPoint. Now this one is something, first of all, which is there in I think it's there in 2023, and it's there in Office 365. I'm not sure about 2019. So, but this is one tool I think which, like, if you don't have Office 365, please take it, because there are so many new tools and it's completely worth it. Trust me. And after seeing this, I'm sure you say the same thing. So let me show you what this is. So for those people who don't know what are transitions, so transition is when we go from one slide to another, right? Now look at this. Without transition, we generally go like this, which is nothing. But if you use transition, you can have multiple effects. So transitions are right here, which you can choose from, whether you have random, whether you have pan. There are multiple transitions which are there. But we are not here to discuss all of them. We are going to talk about one particular transition, which is AI based transition. So I'm going to come to that. Now, what is that? So this transition is called morph. How does it work? So if you see, I have a slide here which has two colors and a text over here. And I have another slide where I've just added another text. I have changed the orientation of the boxes, add some elements, and I don't have any animation here. I'm going to go to transitions and click on something called morph. Now, let me show you how this transition would happen. So this is my slide 1 and this is my slide 2. And there's no animation, it's only a transition. Now, how did it work? So morph works on common elements and common shapes. So for example, let's say that I'm showing this shape here, okay? And in the next slide, sorry, one second. So first rule of morph is always duplicate the slide. Now in the next slide, I have taken this here and I made it bigger, let's say. And in the next one, I have got it here. Now I'm going to click on morph. So this is slide 1, slide 2, slide 3. Let's see more examples. Now this is my slide 1. Now let's say I have 4 topics that I want to discuss. I'm going to delete this and make another one. Now one by one, I want to go to each topic. So Control C, Control V, always remember the first rule is to duplicate. Now I'm going to make this bigger because, one by one, we'll go on each topic and elaborate. I'm going to change the image. And let's say we'll also have few sub pointer to this, which we'll add later. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Now I'm going to go to transition and click on morph. So what is going to happen? Let's see. Slide 1 and slide 2. So when you click on morph, again, there is no one way of using this transition called morph. There are thousands and thousands of ways, and I'm not kidding. Like if you look at this slide, what I've done over here is, so this is a slide where I've placed these Tetra packs outside the slide. So I zoomed out and I placed them outside the slide. And on the next slide, I kept them inside the slide. Okay. Because I wanted that gliding in effect rather than just like appearing. And I clicked on morph. So let's see how they come. Slide 1. So do you see they're almost like gliding in with a very, very, very like moonwalk sort of an effect rather than generally when it comes to animation, they are very different from this morph transition. Another example, in this case, what I've done is I have placed pictures outside the slide. And on the next slide, I have placed pictures on the slide, how I want them to appear. And now I'm only clicking on morph. Let me show you how this would work. So I have also decided the duration. I'll come to that and show you. So slide 1 is blank slide because all the pictures are outside. Now I'm going to click and you will see the picture will start appearing, creating a collage. So, for your first slide, title slides, those slides, I think this is a beautiful idea. You can have your, pictures coming together like that, right? So you generally put morph on the second slide, not on the first one, second slide, because the transition is happening from first to second. Okay. Now again, as I said, there are multiple ways of using it. I'm just showing you few. Let's see one more. Let me delete this and show it to you. So look at this slide. Now I'm making a copy of it. In this slide, I'm making first bigger, and then maybe let's put these two here. On the third slide, I am making this will obviously become smaller. The second one will become bigger, like a gallery. And then on the last slide, this also becomes smaller. And this becomes the biggest. And I'm going to choose all morph on all three. So I'm leaving the first one. I don't want the morph on the first one. So you will see how it moves. So slide 1, slide 2, slide 3, and slide 4. I think it looks very cool. So I'll show you 5 slides from a presentation that I had designed, which were only using this transition. So there are no images, there are no colors, like very simple slide, but you will see how beautiful they look. So this is my first slide. Now look at the transition. So slide 1, it goes like this to slide 2. Okay. Then slide 3. Slide 4. And then slide 5. Now how did this happen? Let's see. So this is my slide 1. Okay. So I knew that I have to keep. So if you see, I have kept this shape deliberately. So if I copy, paste this shape and the slide basically, if I make this slide bigger, like in this shape, if I blow it up, I know, 1 second. If I blow up this particular thing and click on transition morph, I know it will morph like that, right? Then what I did in the next one, I have deliberately kept this small circle because I knew the next slide is circle 1. And I know that it will blow up my shape, the same shape. Now, between this and this slide, there's no common shape. So when you go to morph and click on effect shape effect option, that give you three things. You can either choose objects, which means shapes, or words or characters. Now in this case, I don't have common words also. Common words means, so for example, if you have, let me show you an example. How does common word mean? Mm, 1 second. Okay, so common word means you have, now look at this. I have this first slide, and if I put more, it has taken the common word, right? Which is the same name. But if let's say there are no common words, if we say, now there are no common words, so I'm going to choose characters, which means it will pick up the common alphabets. So that's what I did here. In this case, from this slide to next, there were no common words, so I chose characters. And then between this and next, I just chose common words because I knew the present word was common. So that's how amazing this transition is. I'm going to show you one last way of using this. Okay. Let me first show you what I'm showing you. So this is my slide one. Let's say that I'm an HR, I'm a HR person where I'm showing different strengths and weaknesses of everyone. So rather than showing it using this boring method, why can't I use something like this? Look at this. Right? Now let me show you how I did it. I'm using another picture which is similar, and I'm using this shape. Let me first zoom out the picture. Insert shape. I'm using this donut shape. Okay. 1 second, let me do it again. Insert shapes and the donut shape like this. So I'm making sure the donut stays outside the slide and not inside. Okay. We can also decide the color. I'm giving it this blue color, and I'm also making it a bit transparent. Okay. Now I'm not doing anything on this slide. I'm making a copy. On the next slide, now you can actually look at this. You can do this. You can decide who you want to highlight. And from this to next also, you can just move it like this. And now I'm going to select them all and do morph. So how they will move when I do full screen. 1, 2, 3, 4. And obviously you can keep going on. You can do it for all. Okay. Now I'll show you one last example of this, and then we'll move on to the next section. Look at this. Now I made this slide where I have different versions of Starbucks drinks. And then let's say I'm going to talk about each drink one by one. I haven't changed the text because this is for demo basically. But can you see how beautifully they're moving? Now, how did this happen? Let me show you. So this is my slide one. Okay. Let me delete this, or let me just copy it here to show you. So this is my slide one. I'll make a copy. Slide two. And beside which, let's say I want to highlight the green drink iske baad. So I'm going to move this here. The Starbucks logo could come here. The drink comes here. I'm going to make it bigger. You can also move things, like you can move the shape around like this. The logo comes here. The text could come here. However you want to place it. Look at this. Now all I'm going to do is click on morph. And you can keep changing it. Like if you did this Control C, Control V and change this drink becomes smaller. It goes out. The other one comes in. It becomes bigger. We'll change the circle thing also because that is more impactful if we keep changing it now. that becomes much more impactful. Look at this. So this tool is actually, if you read about it, it's an AI driven tool. It uses the AI to decide what looks best for your presentation. Okay. So let's say this is what it is. We'll just do morph. That's it. So that's how simple it is. All right. So I know that this tool is not something that you will learn in like 5 minutes. So you need to do a lot of practice. You need to see, you need to try, you need to figure out what all you can do with this tool, because it's a very, very versatile tool. It's not just simple tool. Okay. Now we are going to end the session with a quick thing on storytelling and 10 commandments of designing. Okay.
Can you please show 143 slide once again?
Which one?
143.
This one?
Yes, yes.
Yes. You want me to show the working once again?
Yes, yes. Somebody in chat they have asked.
Okay, okay, sure. All right. Okay, so how did this work? So it's actually the same thing. If you look at this, what I've done is, this is my slide, this is how it's moving, right? So what I've done over here is make a copy. Now this drink becomes much smaller and it goes out of the window here. And this one who's on the side becomes much bigger, right? Like this. So in this case, I've not changed the content. Everything else is same, just the drink changes. So if you see from here till here, if you don't want multiple things to move, you can do something simple like this as well. All right. Am I clear on this? I hope that this you guys have got a little hang of this tool. And as I said, you have to practice it. You have to see, you have to try different techniques and see what works for you, more importantly. Now, quickly coming to the art of storytelling. Now, storytelling, as we all know, is one of the most effective methods that's being used from generation to generation to share ideas, information, or learnings. Like, for example, our parents always told us moral stories, right? They would never say, don't lie. They would tell a story attaching to it so that we remember that. And I mean, that's the power of stories. The PowerPoint presentations are basically new age interactive form of storytelling. They're the new age storytelling tools because now they're more about effective visuals, compelling stories, animations, impactful slides, and much more. And story is everything. So we have to remember that the reason why storytelling is important. So stories, first of all, creates experience. So if you tell somebody that, okay, don't do this, nobody's going to listen to you. The moment you create a story around it, tell it to them, it will create an experience for them while they're listening to the story also, rather than just preaching. And stories tend to stay in mind. So like, as I'm sure even for me and for all of you, you would still remember some of the stories that you all heard as kids, right? They are the emotional glue to the audience and they are more likely to be shared. I would never tell somebody a preaching saying that, somebody told me don't lie. But if they tell me a story, I would probably tell the story to somebody else. Now, what is your story is what you have to identify. So I've created this. This is basically a story arc. It's a scientific way of creating stories, whether it's a movie, a novel, a play, anything. So all directors, all writers, they use the story arc, which means every story starts with setting up the context, then, some certain incident, action, climax, all of that. But with presentation, I have created my own story arc using three simple techniques. So I've taken example of a very famous TV series called Game of Thrones, web series actually. So first first half of the presentation is generally always setting up the context where you talk about the brief, the index, what the presentation is all about, what are we looking at, what is your narrative, all of that. The second part is all about addressing the problem. So every presentation that we make always has a reason, right? We don't wake up in the morning and feel like making a PPT. There's always a problem that we are solving. So that's where the problem arises. And then in the third act, we generally find the solution, that what is the final solution to the problem. So this is a act one, act two, act three for a basic PPT. Like you set up the context, you address the problem, and you find the solution. You can also divide it like a beginning, middle, and end. It's absolutely up to you. Okay. Now, coming to the last part of my presentation, which are 10 commandments of designing. So these are 10 commandments that basically, if you're making a PPT, if your PPT is agreeing with these 10 commandments, that means you're in a good place. Okay. So first and foremost, the idea should be the hero. Sometimes what happens when we learn these amazing tools, techniques, etc., we tend to get carried away in the designing part, and the key idea gets lost. So we always have to remember that idea has to be the hero. So we are making a presentation, it has to be done around the idea and not the other way around. This is something which I think, which I've been telling to people since forever, but we always tend to ignore this. When it comes to PPT, less is always more. So, for example, if somebody is coming to see your presentation, they're actually coming more to listen to what you're saying rather than what you're showing. Your slides are basically to support what you're saying. So always show only what is important, which means that if if let's say you have a 5 pointer presentation, if the moment you put on the slide, everybody can read the 5 pointers, nobody's going to listen to you. So you just need to have like a one big highlight and talk about everything else by yourself, because that's how you keep people's interest in your presentation. That is how you do that. Okay. Create an experience. Try to create an experience for the audience. And this tool that I just showed you, Morph tool, Summary Zoom tool, they're really amazing tools to create experience for the audience, especially on the slideshow mode, because the way they transition, the way they go from one slide to another, that can be like a fabulous experience for the audience, right? And you can obviously use animations, videos, and a lot more things now that PowerPoint offers. You can create infographics. Now, the next one is there's this scientific rule called 555. And this is not a rule that will work on each and every slide and presentation. But if it does, like you can take 1 or 2 points. So this rule says that you should have maximum 5 words per line. This I know is not something which is logical or works. The second one says you should have maximum 5 lines per slide. This is something that you can still try. And so these rules are made keeping in mind humans' ability to absorb data, because it says that if you shouldn't have more than 5 wordy or heavy data heavy slides in a row. Always have a breaker, always have something in between, because after that you don't have the capacity to retain the data. So I think you will get this recap deck like a PDF also, so that you can go through it again. Okay. And always make sure that your presentation has one style setting or one template scheme, which means that just because you have learned tools and techniques, it doesn't mean that you create 10 slides and all of them look different from each other. They have to be aligned with each other in terms of their design language, in terms of their colors, in terms of everything. Okay. Try to keep it simple. Simplicity never goes out of style. We all know that. And always remember that you shouldn't forget the content amidst the designing part, because that's something which happens very often. Overview is the key, which means you should always have a slide like a summary or an overview slide which can help you plan your presentation better. And always remember to revise and proofread. That is the key, because and especially always do that in the full screen mode, so that there are no spelling errors, there are no gaps, there are no distorted photos, there are no pixelated photos. Very important. And last but not the least, recap is a must. So we live in the day and age of smartphone, right? Which means that our attention spans are actually 6 seconds, like less than 6 seconds, which is attention span of a goldfish. Imagine, right? So you always remember to have a recap slide, because that will help you have higher recall value in the mind of your audiences. All right. So that's about it from me. And I think we have a feedback uh,
Yeah.
poll that Ritu will be sharing, and then we'll do a quick Q&A.
So I'm just launching the feedback poll. Please do respond to that, and after that we'll take the Q&A session. I just launched the feedback poll. In your screen, you can see the feedback poll. Please do respond to that. And personally, if you wanted to share your feedback to me, ritu@ethica.co.in. It's my email ID. Please do share your feedback of the session. Just 2 minutes, and then we can take the Q&A session.
I know all of you have a lot of questions, so let's get over with the feedback, and then we can quickly get to the questions.
Yeah. And regarding the recording and the PPT, you will be receiving all this on Monday, 3 p.m. From the Zoom.
Also, I know a lot of people here were expecting more AI, but since the duration is such, we will make sure to do another session, which will be purely AI, where we'll be also covering external tools and also the tools which PowerPoint has and other websites as well. So we'll make sure to do another session on AI exclusively.
Sure, definitely, Shruti. So now let's take the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, over to you.
Okay. All right. So I think first I'll just take the question which are there in the chat box. Would that be okay, Ritu,
Yeah,
or should we?
that's fine.
Yeah?
We'll take
Okay.
questions from the chat and then we can have like.
Okay. All right. So how different is the eyedropper from Format Painter? It's actually very different. Let me just revise it for you. So eyedropper is a tool that will help you copy only the color. It will help you put the color, insert the color. Versus Format Painter. Format Painter helps you copy properties of an object. For example, let me come to that. So in this case, for example, if I have this text, so I have done more things on the text. There's an outline, there's a shadow, a lot of things, right? If I use eyedropper, it will only copy the color, nothing else. It won't copy anything else. Eyedropper is only for color. It picks the color. That's about it. Format Painter copies properties of the object, which means what kind of outline, shadow, color, thickness, everything. All right. I hope that is clear. Um, let's go back to more questions. One second. Could be Format Painter doesn't take image color, only the format and font is copied. Format Painter doesn't take image color. Image color it does not take. It can take color of the outline of the image, but it cannot take image color. So it works on shapes, and when I say it works on picture, it will take the format of the picture, which means the outline, the color of the outline, but picture obviously it cannot change. Okay. Can we get a copy of the PPT? I think that is something you all will get. Okay. Will we also cover AI part? As I said, we'll do a separate session. Max number of slides that can be added in summary slide. I don't think there's a number which is there, but see, you won't have slides more than what your one single slide can contain. So I don't think that it should have a problem. It will be a problem. Should we select both the slides to get the morph effect? So as I said, you have to select the second slide. First slide you don't. उसके बाद जितनी slide में you want to put morph effect, you'll have to choose that. Okay. Okay, you will get the recording. Then a lot of questions about recording. Can we go through 10 slides once? A glimpse. Sorry, Sharmila, if you can just specify which 10 slides are you referring to here? Are you talking about the last 10 commandments of designing? Let me know. If you need to be if we need to make presentation which is most related to numbers, then which points need to be considered while preparing that the data is related to health claims of companies' employees. So see, when it comes to making presentations for, you need to make sure the alignment and formatting in data slide that has to be perfect because your slide will still look clean. And if possible, try to use a bit of visual. Like on one side, you have learned the technique of putting visual in shape. So you can have like a small circle like this and have a visual because that will always break the monotony of the data. Thank you for the session. Thank you so much for all of you. Like, I think you guys have been a great audience. You will get the recording. We have any option similar to eyedropper for matching the fonts? No, unfortunately, we don't. You can use then Format Painter, but you don't have the option for matching the fonts, unfortunately. Okay. Can you share some Excel data to be put in creative way that functions can be applied? So that I will have to do it separately in a new session because that is another session altogether. The last 10. Okay, I'll show you the 10 commandments. Please share, elaborate on how to make the ideas as hero. So the idea, see, how do you make ideas as hero is when you build your presentation around it, right? You make sure that you are designing around the idea and you're not fitting your idea into the designing. So you have to make sure that your idea is standing out. Like you're not using bright pictures and your let's say your logo or your theme idea is getting lost. So you have to make sure of those things. Please share seventh commandment, 555. Okay. Now let me show you the 10 commandments. I think 2, 3 people have asked for it. Let me come to those 10 commandments. I'll show you all one by one. So the first one, as I said, idea should be the hero. Always make sure that you have, show what is important on your slides. Like if you see my slides, I have only the content, which is the pointer. Then rest everything else, I'm speaking out for all of you, right? The second, then always try to create an experience through your slides. And you will get these 10 ideas. So don't worry if you want to revise, I'll have them given to you. Uh, Always try to use the 555 rule. And if not the first two, the third one. So this says that you should have maximum 5 words per line, maximum 5 lines per slide. And if you are creating a presentation which has wordy or verbo slide, do not have more than 5 such slides in a row. Make sure that it should look like one presentation. Keep it simple. Don't forget your content, amidst the designing. That's very important. Overview is the key. Always revise and proofread, and recap is a must. Also, another thing, I know, if in case you want to revise any of the tools, you can actually you can also follow my channel, which is Power of PowerPoint with Shruti Sharma. This is a very I have a lot of tutorial videos here which will help you in case, for example, you want to go through the eyedropper again or something else again. So this will be really helpful. Okay. So you can go through this. One second, let me go back to the chat. I'm also posting it here. Yeah. Let's get back to, one second. Yes. Okay. Let's see if there are any more questions. I guess that's about it. So thank you guys. Once again, sorry, one more question. Any new feature in deleting the background picture? Any new feature? So if you want to delete, I mean, then you don't, I mean, if I'm not understanding the question, deleting the background picture, it could be either just like this. And sometimes if you're not able to delete the picture like this, that means they are in the slide master, which means you just go to view, go to slide master. So sometimes the picture are pasted here like this. So even if you remove this picture, you will see this picture is not getting removed. So go to view, slide master, and remove it from here, and you will see it gets removed from here then. I hope I got your question correctly. All right. I'm a technical trainer where we are teaching the subject in clear content. Sometimes this much fancy thing can take us time to prepare. Okay, so see, you don't need to create all presentation in a fancy way. So if you look at my last 10 slides, one second, let me just get back to this. Okay. So if you look at my last 10 slides, they're not very fancy. So I have a picture in the background, I have a shape with transparency, then that's about it. And you all can do that. So it's not necessary for you to create fancy slide. The idea is to get, first of all, inspiration, that you know what kind of presentation you want to design. That's very important. And for that, you can use multiple websites like Google. There's FreePic. I'll just write the name here. There's something called Envato Elements that have great templates. But these are all for your references. You have to obviously create the slides yourself. There's FreePic. There's Slides Go. So all these elements, all these these things you can use easily that I'm putting in the chat box.
Yeah, will all this work on the MacBook Office 365?
Yes, but the commands are different there. Like eyedropper is definitely there. Even the morph technique is there, but you might have to struggle a bit on what is where. So the
Mhm.
placement is a bit of task when it comes to Mac, but you have these tools there as well. Yes,
Okay, thank you.
no problem. Which is the best, Canva or PPT? So I always prefer PPT because I think it gives you much more flexibility than Canva. But we'll soon be doing a session on Canva as well for people who work a lot on that.
So if there is no question, let's wind up. So thank you so much, Shruti, taking time to do this session for especially for us Etika and our client and answering patiently to all the questions. Thank you so much and taking us on the fantastic journey of like turning plain presentation into a powerful stories from the like AI magic tips or the real world hacks. We are walking away today with the tools we are actually use and some serious inspiration too. To everyone who joined us, thank you so much. Thank you for asking all your doubts and making the session truly interactive. Whether you are heading into our like your next team meeting or pitching your next idea, or I hope today you got a little confidence also. Let's continue exploring, creating, and presenting like a pros. And don't forget, the magic isn't just the slides, it's like how you present your story too. So, until next time, stay creative, stay curious, and keep PowerPoint like a pro. So,
Thank
thank you.
you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, like Ritu said. And thank you for amazing feedback and your comments. It was a pleasure having you all, and you were a great audience. Thank you so much, guys.